The All Blacks come from behind to snatch it at the death there, guys, while the Wallabies fail yet again to put together an 80-minute performance. I'm going to cover all the details of Bledisloe Cup Match 2, and I'm also going to reveal to you my 33-man squad for the All Blacks Rugby World Cup team this year. Stick with me, guys, and let's roll that intro. Kia ora everyone, my name's Zach, I love rugby, welcome back to Hakatime Rugby. So there it is in the books, Bledisloe Cup's second match. The All Blacks take that 23 points to 20, a very close match, but really a tale of two halves. It was very much Australia dominant there in the first half, able to be a lot more physical, win set piece, get front foot ball, and show a lot of variation. I think we saw a lot more of what Eddie Jones is speaking about when he says they want to play an Australian style of rugby. All of it is predicated on front foot ball, so you have to start winning front foot ball, which we saw them doing, and then we're able to see a bit more of their variation in attack. It feels like we haven't really understood what he has meant by an Australian style of rugby to this point. But we saw it a lot more, and all it is, to my eye, is playing a bit more direct up the middle and then using variation and width to attack the edges. We saw that for the first try here with Koroibete going over in the corner, about as close to the touchline as you can get, but a fantastic try there. Great finish from him. And Tom Hooper's try as well was built on variation. It started with a break up the middle, and the ball was spread out, and he was able to convert there by crashing in over the line. So we're starting to see the Australians in this first part get a bit of front foot dominance. They were winning penalties at scrum time and also putting pressure on the line out. So I think Eddie Jones and the Australians will be very happy with that first 20 minutes. But as I said, it seems to be constantly the story. It's success in patches, and they need to find a bit more sustainability of that type of performance throughout the full 80 minutes. But with that said, all of a sudden you find yourself up 14 points to 0 in the first half. The Australians were looking very, very dominant, and the All Blacks were looking just a little bit off their game. A lot of changes here, discussions about whether or not this was the All Blacks B team, but I was sort of watching this match just thinking, well, one, there's no such thing as an All Blacks B team, because we expect to win every single game. And two, I just felt like the team came out flat and just weren't performing like the All Blacks that we expect. Too many errors, getting beaten up in the collision, and really not offering too much when it comes to set piece. So a very un-All Blacks-like first half in particular. But they were able to come back and get a penalty there with Mackenzie slotting one over sort of early before Carter Gordon also slotted one over. The territory and possession stats at halftime. 68% territory to the Wallabies, 62% possession to the Wallabies. A lot of criticism from last week, the Melbourne game, that the Wallabies weren't able to convert territory advantage that they had into points. They were able to do it in this game, but I thought they still passed up some key opportunities for points. Tate McDermott had a penalty towards the end of the first half, and rather than take the 3 points on offer, he kicked it for the corner. And he did the same thing in Melbourne, passing up 3 penalties, 9 points potentially, when they were down. It was 19 points to 7 it was, I think, at that point. And he's done the same thing here. They could have taken a 20 points to 3 advantage into the halftime break. They weren't able to do that. And look, another learning moment. I think they're trying to find that right balance between, taking points versus being confident and backing yourselves. But yeah, they just haven't got that right at this point. The All Blacks, however, just seemed flat and I think needed a real talking to at halftime, which by all accounts they got, because they came out a lot more fierce in the second half. So 2 tries there. Sean Stevenson able to get a try on his full debut, so good to see him get a good run. He did have a lot of errors in the first half, but seemed to come a bit better in the second half, namely because the All Blacks had a lot more front foot ball and were winning those collisions. Mackenzie slots it over, and a penalty goal there to Moanga, and Sami Penifina also was able to score a try. But all of this, we started to see a number of the substitutions take place. So the front row was swapped out with Fletcher Newell, Ofatunga Fasi coming in. We saw Aaron Smith coming in. We saw Richie Moanga came in. It really steadied the ship with those 4 players in particular. I feel like Aaron Smith is as important to the All Blacks as someone like Johnny Sexton is to Ireland. The contrast in the speed of the ball, in decisiveness, in him barking orders and giving that a little bit of extra push and direction to the forwards is huge. Can't be understated. But I think he's really, really important to the All Blacks' chances going into France. Richie Mo'unga as well, just a lot more time when he has the ball in hand. Again, the All Blacks were going forward at this stage, so that helps. And then in the front row, a lot more scrum penalties. The All Blacks won 2 or 3 scrum penalties there in the second half. Really worked hard there at scrum time to win those penalties, as well as started to get their line out right. Another big change in the second half was the success they were having at the breakdown. So Sam Whitelock in particular, able to pilfer a number of balls, and I think there were 3 turnovers I counted where he was over the top of the ball, won the penalty, and able to swing momentum back in the All Blacks' favour. And these moments are huge. I mean, obviously you're winning the ball back, but you're stopping the momentum of the opposition. That's something that the good teams do, because obviously it's ebbs and flows in games, and Sam Whitelock had a huge game. A number of the stalwarts of New Zealand rugby playing their last match here at New Zealand, so all in all, I think it was great for them to go out with a win. I thought it was great for those players, those big names, to be responsible for the turnaround in the second half. So the likes of Aaron Smith coming on and injecting and bringing energy, turning things around, and the likes of Sam Whitelock also having a great game with turnovers, key turnovers, to swing the momentum back to the All Blacks. 2 late opportunities there. Quade Cooper slots one over late to even it up at 20 points to 20 at that stage, and Richie Mo'unga, with 1 minute to go, slots the game winner. And this was just sustained pressure from the All Blacks, going forward, putting the Wallabies under pressure, and then able to get a penalty and convert it to win the game. Great match there. The All Blacks will be happy to get the win going into France, although it wasn't their best performance. But I think what it did do is it gave a really good view of a number of players. It also answered a number of questions, I think, around this squad. So we'll go over to my 33-man squad selection very, very quickly. But before we do that, just on Australia, I feel like they haven't got the 9-10 combination right yet. That's something they need to work on. Obviously, playing with winning the collision and front football for longer periods of the match is still really, really important. And I thought decision-making from Tate McDermott was varied. Execution from Carter Gordon, again, varied. He's had some errors there, but also had some great moments. So it's very much a work in progress for them, but, how long do you persevere with this experiment? And it seems like Eddie is just all in on these 2 players in particular, and on their full success or failure being on, the success or failure of 2 big players. He's always been someone who likes to roll the dice, a bit of a gamble in terms of selections and backing, and it feels like he's done the same here again, so it could be a spectacular success, or it could be a spectacular failure here for the Wallabies. I think they need to get a bit more balance here. I would look at a combination of Tate McDermott, Quade Cooper starting, with the finishers being Nick White and Carter Gordon. Carter Gordon proved that when it comes to finishing, those 2 games that he came on late, he actually had a great game when the defenses are a bit more scattered and he can run the ball a little bit more. And I also just think between Quade Cooper and Nick White, they probably need those cooler, more experienced heads there, just to steady the ship when the young guys are getting a bit off. Help them with decision-making, help them with confidence, help them with execution. But there's a lot to like about the Wallabies squad. I thought Pony Fa'amausili had a great game. Angus Bell continues. And then Mark Nawanga-Nitawasi again had a great game with front football there. So that's my match review. Let's jump over now to the 33-man All Black squad selection. Okay, guys, I'm going to start off with my first 15. I think this largely picks itself. We've seen these players. They are the incumbents. They're backed by Fozzie, and these names are all lock. I think, so De Groot, Taylor Lomax, that's your front row. Starting front row, Scott Barrett is playing the best we've seen, one of the best locks in the world at the moment, with Brodie Retallick. Kane Frizzell Sevilla, a settled loose forward trio. Aaron Smith, as I mentioned, crucial. Mo'unga, crucial to running the ship. Geordie Barrett and Reko Ioane seem to be the incumbents in terms of the centre pairing. And then Bowden Barrett forming that great combination with Richie Mo'unga from fullback, with Will Jordan and Mark Talia there, either side of him. I thought Will Jordan, his best position is 15 for sure. He didn't get as much opportunity in this game because the All Blacks really lacked front football early. But as an attacking option off the wing, he has proven to be great in those 2 games that he has started. If I move forward now and just add a couple more expected names to the list, I think we're going to see Ofatunga Fasi and Fletcher Newell did great work today in turning the fortunes of the set piece. So they're right there. Toke Aho and Dane Coles will be there. These 3, Taylor, Toke Aho and Coles, really are the incumbents. Sam Whitelock will definitely be there in his swan song tournament. He showed his value in this game as well, just being able to win a number of important turnovers. And Dalton Papali'i there as well. Not a true out-and-out 7, but gives a bit of height, can cover 7, can cover 6 in a pinch, and is great in the line-out as well. Damien McKenzie will have booked his slot. Between Moanga, Barrett, McKenzie, you've got attacking threats, you've got the ability to play 10. And then if we just move forward now, because we start to get in some really difficult selections, and it's tough selecting a 33-man squad, guys. Let me know what you think and let me know who you would select. But these are some of the options that I went with in the forwards as we move this forward just a little bit. So, Tamaiti Williams. I think Tamaiti Williams gives you go forward. He gives you the opportunity to close games with a big body, and I think he needs to be there also for future sort of building of confidence and building of experience. I think it could be a real point of difference come the World Cup. So I'd like to see him there. He gave away a lot of penalties today. So if he doesn't make the squad, this might be a telling performance from today. But I think he's got enough. He's shown enough, especially in that final for the Crusaders this year, where he played 65, 70 minutes. He was outstanding. But I think he's shown enough to book his ticket. Nepo Lalala, really close. When we look back to the series against Ireland, he was out-scrummaged. Sort of showing his age in some respects, but he has had some good performances this year. Today's performance, not the best. He was outdone in the scrums, but the options are getting really, really limited there at tight head prop. So the other option is Angus Ta'aval, but he's been out injured, so it's a big call. I was almost going to select Angus Ta'aval here in the team, but I've gone with Nepo Lalala, just really, really close. Big name, big change here. I've gone with Patrick Tuipulotu. He's come back. He is training with the Auckland squad. He hasn't had a full run-on squad time yet, but I think he might be able to add a little bit more of what the All Blacks are looking for at lock at the moment. And it is just being able to beat teams up the middle, run it straight, and he's very experienced. So, the likes of Josh Lord there was very, very close. I even considered Naitoa Akui. I think he's playing really, really well and proved it for the All Blacks 15. But I think Patrick Tuipulotu would be my choice because of experience and because of the physicality that he brings to the table. Tupavai comes in, retains his spot, I think mainly because he can cover 6 as well. So you've got the option of Scott Barrett, Frizzell, obviously your first choice, or Tupavai there if you need to cover at a pinch. And then rounding out the loose forward trio, I've gone with Luke Jacobson. I thought he's injected some real energy, super mobile, high work rate. I think he's a really, really good addition there. Can cover obviously 8 and 6 as well. So that's my forward selections. That rounds out 27 players total for this point. And now we're going to get into some tough selections in the backs as well, guys. So let's jump over to the back selections. And this is where I've gone. I thought Finlay Christie might have done himself out of a spot today. It's a big call, I know that. But I've gone with the experience of Brad Weber. I thought him running that ship for the All Blacks 15, a lot more Aaron Smith-like in that he's decisive, that he's got a good running game and a good quick pass. But also, I just feel like his ability to rally the troops, to ensure that the forwards know where they're going, and as I say, be decisive. That's more Aaron Smith-like. That's what this team needs. And then you need a point of difference there as well. So I've gone with Cam Roigard there as well. So 2 experienced heads, 1 adding a bit of flair there in Cam Roigard. And I think that's a really, really good balanced sort of halfback selection. Now the centres, really, really tough. Probably the big omission here is I've left Anton Leonard-Brown out of the team. I thought Braydon Ennor was really, really good today in the first half. Now, we'll wait and see if he's if there's any injury concerns, why he went off at that point that he did today. But I think he just gets the nod. He's a lot more Conrad Smith-like, I think, in his approach to the game. But he also covers 13, which is an out-and-out 13, which is somewhat lacking here between Reko Ioane and obviously Braydon Ennor, 2 true 13s. David Havili came back in the NPC yesterday, I should say. Had a good return, set up a great try early with an offload, and he just provides that variety. The All Blacks have shown that they are really looking to target the edges. So David Havili with his crossfield kicks, with his tactical kicking, with his offload ability, and his ability to play make, I think he really gives that option. Slots in nicely to the All Blacks attack. So David Havili, Braden Ennor, they just get the nod ahead of ALB for me. Big call, I know. Let me know what you guys think of that. And then rounding out the backs, I have left Caleb Clark out of this squad, namely because of his defensive lapses in previous years. I do think he's found a good spot as that sort of closer. He comes on, brings a lot of energy at the end of games, and is getting good go forward, busting up the middle. But what you get with Clark, you also get with Fainga'anuku, but probably at a higher rate. And what you get with Fainga'anuku is also centre cover. So that's a tough decision. Two tough decisions to leave out ALB and to leave out Caleb Clark, who have been really important parts of the squad in this World Cup cycle. But I think it's time to go with a bit more variation and to go with players that can cover multiple positions. Imoni Narawa just gives a lot of great tactical play, good kicker off the ball, great decision maker. So I don't think you can go with two out-and-out power wingers in Fainga'anuku and Clark. I think adding a bit of variety here with Narawa as cover gives a really, really good balance and a really, really good mix. And that's my All Blacks 33-man squad, guys. So I'd love to hear what you think overall. Tell me what you thought about the game. Also, tell me what you think about the squad. I'm sure there's players that I've missed out. I'm sure there's some dodgy decisions that you guys won't be happy with. Let me know all about it in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.